And now let's talk about something that affects all of us, and that is work. Not just what we do, but how much of it, how much of our lives it takes up. For years now, the global conversation around work has been shifting. People have been talking about work-life balance. Some countries are experimenting with shorter work weeks. Some companies are encouraging remote or hybrid models. And a global debate is growing over how much time people should spend at work and how much should be their own. Amid this global shift, one country is moving in the opposite direction, and that is Greece. Greece is about to pass a law. It is one of their most controversial labor reforms in decades. This law would allow private sector workers to work up to 13 hours a day. Not every day, not all year, but for about 37 days in a year. A 13-hour work day. And that too under exceptional circumstances. The government calls it a modern solution to an old problem. It says Greece needs more flexibility in its job market, and there's a reason for that. The country has an aging population. At the same time, its workforce is shrinking. Companies, especially in tourism and services, cannot find enough staff. So the logic is quite simple. Businesses need extra hands during peak seasons. This law would let them extend shifts temporarily without having to hire new workers permanently. The standard workday, 8 hours, will still exist. Overtime will be paid at 40% bonus, and the total overtime per year would be limited to 150 hours. Officials say it will be voluntary. The government says no one can be fired for saying no, but critics say voluntary sounds good only on paper. In practice, many workers will have little choice. Say no and risk your job. Say yes and lose your life outside of work. It's a classic dilemma. It's a choice that is not really a choice at all. And that question, how much of life should belong to work, is at the heart of a bigger global debate. Because what's happening in Greece is not just about longer shifts, it's about a world that is increasingly struggling to define the line between personal time and professional demands. In some countries, workers are asking for shorter weeks. They're asking for stronger overtime laws. In others, technology is blurring the boundary between home and office. It has made off hours almost non-existent. And everywhere, questions about productivity, mental health and family life are gaining urgency. And in Greece, that tension has spilled onto the streets. Thousands of people have protested twice this month. They have chanted against sunrise to sunset working hours. That's what they're calling it, sunrise to sunset working hours. They're calling for a shorter 35-hour week. 35 hours of work in a week. The pushback is about more than just longer hours. It's about the future of work itself. And the questions being asked in Greece are not local. Like I said, these are questions, these are issues that many countries are grappling with. How much should we work? How much of our time should belong to our jobs, and how much should be our own? In 2024, Greeks worked an average of 39.8 hours a week. That is higher than the European average, the European Union average of about 35.8 hours. Countries like Bhutan and the UAE have some of the longest working hours. And then you have nations like the Netherlands. They offer shorter work weeks. In India, more than half of our workers put in 46 hours or more in a week. So like I said, this debate goes far beyond Greece. It is a global reckoning with how we value time and work. One side says longer hours reflect economic reality. They argue it means better pay, more opportunities and flexibility. The other side sees it differently. They say it takes more of our lives. It gives back very little. Perhaps the truth lies somewhere in between. For some, longer hours are a burden. For others, they are a strategy and a way to grow. In the end, it's not just a policy debate, it's also about choices and priorities.
Want the facts?
The latest developments?
News that gets straight to the point.
Well, we've got all three just for you. This is Firstpost Live, a brand new show, your window into what really matters.
Don't miss it.